Riz, how are you? Good to see you after a long time. Well, since Hamlet.
Exactly.
All right. Well, look, Riz. I think congratulations on Bay. This has been a long time in the coming for you, and I think also it's very nice to see you reunite with Bassam as well. Because Mogul Mowgli, I think we mentioned this as well during Hamlet time. It was a very intense film, but yet it really also kind of put in the spotlight about identity and all these really rampant topics. So how much of a bit of a breather was it for you to kind of also do this, but then at the same time reflect back on the struggles and the turmoil that you've gone through to get this on the road?
Honestly, like comedy is the way that we can bring so many people together and talk about lots of deeper things, but do it in a way that brings people in, brings people together, makes them laugh, doesn't have them analyzing things, has them feeling it emotionally. So it was great to reunite with Bassam. I've known Guz for a long time. Wanted to reunite with him as well. And Sheba, Aasiya is such an amazing talent over there. Sajid Hasan from Pakistan. Like, we've just got a dream team, and I'm just so, I just feel so happy that we managed to pull this together, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I'm glad you mentioned humor because I feel like self-deprecation humor is back in business. Like obviously last year we had Bads of Bollywood, which obviously really blew up. Amir Khan made Happy Patel recently, which was again about self-deprecating humor. And here, you know, you're talking about becoming the next James Bond, which again is a very cool idea, but at the same time it's also self-deprecating in many ways in terms of the other larger topics that the film talks about. So why do you think it is, especially in the South Asian side, self-deprecating humor in a way perhaps took a bit of a backseat and we were bludgeoned with all these very heavy and intense sort of storytelling?
I think, I don't know if that's true. I feel like there's been like a great balance of different kinds of tones to our storytelling for a while now.
Right.
I just think that, the way that where we're at as a culture, as a society, there's so much heaviness out there. I think people just really want a lot of joy.
Yeah. I know, that's amazing. I think also about the craft, like I've also said to you, is that, I just love the way you manage to bring this inherent intensity, but then also in comedy, that intensity very easily translates into something that you do with absolute ease. I think what is it that really, as an artist, that you really kind of delve into when performing? Like what gives you that ease actually as a performer?
What gives you the most ease is having people around you that you trust, that you feel safe with, that you can be vulnerable with. And that was this amazing cast. It was this team right here, these incredible actors that we felt like a family.
It's amazing.
It became, the chemistry was so amazing between us all. There's no greater gift than that as a collaborator, people who make you feel you can trust, who make you feel safe, you can be vulnerable with, you can be emotional with. And so it was just that chemistry really was the big thing that was the engine for everything I did in this.
Right, and I think we've come such a long way, I think, as South Asians, I think when it comes to the West, like the fact that literally, this is such a beautiful marriage, if I may say so, of commercial like Prime Video and then also independent voices also coming together, established voices also coming together. It's such a beautiful melting pot. I think if you look back at when you were breaking through to now, how would you describe that growth and what would you say to that younger Riz if he's looking back at you right now?
If I say one thing to younger Riz, I would just say, dude, make this show quicker. Why did it take you so long?
Why did it take so long?
I know. What was I doing, bro? Yeah, I just wish that younger generation watching stuff like this, they're inspired to tell their own stories. That's it.
Yeah, amazing. Well, look, Riz, it's always such a pleasure, and you're honestly conquering the world right now. And I hope
so
you
much,
continue.
man.
Honestly,
Nah,
you're
man,
incredible.
Everything I have is probably by the grace of God and the generosity of my
Absolutely.
collaborators and people that are supporting us, giving us encouragement. So thank you guys.
No, you're
man.
honestly, seriously, you're blessed. You really are.
Thank you, my bro. Appreciate it.
Well, look, Sheba, ma'am, it's so good to see you. And also, I must congratulate you for Huck as well. Because we spoke just before Huck had released, and it's amazing to see how it's done so well. So, congratulations, all in order.
I've got an award for it. I'm very happy.
Exactly, very, very well deserved. But look, I think, Sheba, ma'am, I think just to really continue from that last conversation that we had last time during Hamlet as well, we spoke a lot about the roles you've played. There's a certain resistance, resilience, endurance, but yet also optimism that you kind of have. What would you say is that source of optimism, and how much does that come handy for you in Bait as well?
Well, I don't think of it like that. It's interesting. Resilience, I suppose. You mean life, like in being in the industry?
absolutely.
Yeah. So I just think just being been around that long, I think, is resilience. That's in our line of work, I feel. And yeah, bait, of course, because being a South Asian family in London, I think resilience would be quite a thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
You can't survive without resilience. So yeah, bait is all of that, resilience.
But it's interesting, I think, when you do Bait, when you do a Hamlet, like you said, you're sort of looking at the migrant lens, being someone who's obviously from India, sort of almost looking at it from a neutral perspective as well. But I think if you look at, for example, Huck, when you did like, about strong women, about the plight of women in India, then you also look at role like Bait, for example, even though if it's light-hearted.
These two people on set. I'll tell you why, because he kept making her laugh on set. And so she had to leave the room when we were filming the scene.
Yeah, it was.
Cameo from Riz Ahmed again. Right, okay, so we were talking about the plight of women, for example, in India and then in Bay. Obviously, this one's a lot more light-hearted. There's a lot more, the lens isn't as serious as Hamlet was. But how has it kind of made you introspect about all these things? I know I'm deepening it a lot, but it would just be nice to understand your perspective of the plight of women in India and then also the lives of migrants here in the UK as well.
So I'm not very well aware of the lives of migrants here, so I'm not the right person to speak on it. But I would think it would be hard. It's hard enough in your own country. I can imagine what a level of hardness it is when you're in another country. It's my God, because it's not just you're not just dealing with what's chaotic or difficult within your unit, but you're also dealing with these externals which are of another nature, which just the foreignness of it, and just trying to merge the two realities and then be resilient and survive. That's I can imagine it'll be very hard.
Exactly, no, absolutely. And I think you do that so beautifully in the roles that you play. I think also the breakthrough that you've had through sort of not just Hollywood, but the Western cinema, as it were, in the English language, I think is remarkable. So I think if you look at the growth that you've had, obviously for you, role hota hai, actor ke liye role hota hai, language is very secondary, right? But in terms of the way conversations are largely around inclusivity and diversity now, how do you feel about it as someone from India who's very celebrated as well? So how does that all come into play for you?
I don't think in my head, maybe I don't make too much of a differentiation, because eventually, like what you started with, a role is a role, and it just you just go at it. I mean, I don't think that I'm now working in this. One doesn't really do that. No, because फिर बहुत that becomes like an added pressure you put on yourself. So, but I just try to look at that work as for what it is purely, and not try and add the other layers on top of it. If I'm working here, I'm working there, because I do feel that largely wherever we work, the baseline of work I experientially feel is the same. People work pretty much in the same way. Just minor details they differ, but in the macro sense, I don't feel like, oh my God, this is crazy. How are they shooting and how does one fit in? I didn't feel that. I was fortunate enough not to feel that. So it's a role. The role is a role. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And I think also, I was just saying to Riz, and I think even to the EPs as well, actually it's kind of become so difficult nowadays to find comedies. I feel like comedies, especially in the South Asian cinema side, it's become such a rare thing. So I think, do you feel like it's a breath of fresh air, the fact that comedies are back,
Bait is like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, sorry. I feel like I was actually listening to Riz's comment. Sorry.
100%. Truly. I mean, I'm not just saying it because I'm in it, but it's like it's a show I would want to totally watch.
Binge watch.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But Sheeba ma'am, you are such an incredible artist, and it's always so lovely to see you. Honestly, genuinely, like I always get so happy. Like that sort of voice. Like every time I see you, I'm like, quality hone wala hai. You just assure us that.
No, my bad stuff, my bad work, you guys have not seen properly.
That scene where you're sitting down in Huck, oh my goodness. Seriously. Kya scene tha wo? Oh, too good. Thank you, ma'am. It's so lovely to see you.
Thank you.
I think, sir, ये जो कहानी है, एक South Asian family की है, a British origin. They're living in Britain. I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah, they're staying in Britain. British Asian family. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
So I think उस चीज को लेके I think for you as a father, obviously, aksar we see British Asian fathers as someone who is very strict, who's very sakt mizaj ke. But Here, there seems to be a bit more of a light-hearted touch to it.
नहीं नहीं आपकी देखिए मैं उर्दू में बोलूँ या
नहीं,
इंग्लिश
हिंदी, उर्दू, इंग्लिश सब कुछ
सब
में.
चलेगा ना देखिए I think people are sadly mistaken that all the fathers are very strict. I can assure you that they're very liberal fathers, very open to their and especially now the fathers now are far more open to their children than they ever were. So we aren't as strict. And this guy, because he's migrated to London, I'm sure he didn't like the. Hey, Guz! Oh, Guz! Hey, Guz! Come here, Guz!
This just says a lot about the camaraderie of everyone. We've had like so many interlapping interviews. I love it.
We're a family now.
I love it.
You have to believe it. And they've been really nice to me. I'm, Sheba, Aasiya, Guz. These are the immediate members of the ensemble cast. And I had most work with them. So, of course, the work. And in this last 1 year, we've become a family because we kept asking, when is it coming? When is it on? When is it on? So it's been a year, and I hope that now that it's on, mashallah, it will do well.
Very good, sir. Honestly, I'm really looking forward to seeing it, and I think you're right actually, because mere hisab se mere father has always been the most, actually the more calm one actually. I feel like
My father was such.
Yeah.
He was a beautiful human, and I'm sure Riz's father is. I think he's portraying his father. Somehow you picked from the world, right, or from your own experiences. So I think it's his father more than anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So no, it's amazing. Sorry, हमारा ध्यान ना कभी इधर उधर भटकता रहता है because इतने सारे लोग आ रहे हैं. But sir, I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the series. Thank you so much for taking our time out. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Guz Khan. Hi, Guz Khan.
You have to speak Gujarati now.
Su kare.
Right.
Watermelon? Secretary?
I wasn't expecting to throw that one out.
Niche, bro.
Right.
Niche.
So Guz, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, bro.
Right, okay, look, so this series I thought is something really up your street. I think obviously you've kind of made your career, I think, out of, really using comedy and humor as a way to make commentary, but then also express the lifestyle that you've had as a British Asian.
Yeah.
I think, so in Bay, how much of that did it come to so much rotation for you in terms of the sort of scope of acting and pushing the boundaries for you creatively?
It's really interesting because I feel like Shah and Riz and then Zulfi and me, there are a lot of similarities. And I feel like when Riz is putting his character together, when Riz is putting the show together, he's seeing elements that we actually share in real life. So when people, and thankfully they've said it a lot, like, yo, you two got really great chemistry. It's because, like, in real life on WhatsApp, we're cussing each other out all the time. We're going back and forth with aggressive voice notes, all kinds of bagarre. So, like, for me, I feel like it was very easy to transition into these roles. What you do understand is that when you work with people like Himubai and Riz, these guys.
Himesh Patel, right? Okay, right. Okay, just wanted to clarify.
He's my Himubai. And like when you work with these guys, you're learning something. I'm a sponge, so I tend to take in things that people do firsthand. It's much better than me reading a book about it or overthinking.
Absolutely.
Learning from your peers, I feel, is the greatest thing you can do for sure.
No, absolutely. And I think when we talk about like the sort of writing room, I think it's like Riz has said, like it's taken him such a long time to sort of get this to fruition.
Yeah.
Do you think that's because that the gatekeepers of such storytelling on such a level were not comfortable or were not allowing it, or do you think that it just is a natural way that times have moved on and things have just eased up? Has it eased up at all?
No, bro. You know what's so difficult? That is that people forget that you can be an Oscar winner, Emmy winner, do any of these number of things, and you still have to justify your ideas to a studio or a financier or a backer. So, bro, more than that, I'd say it's business, bro. And I feel like I was lucky enough to stumble into this. The first thing I ever did was my own show. So I was ulta peri. I didn't have a proper perception of what was normal, right? So having made my own thing very early doors, I had the privilege of being like, yo, you can do this and this is the way it works. So yeah, I feel it's still a long way to go, but just make stuff, man. See where you go.
Absolutely.
He'll be back with you. Look,
Yeah, thank you, brother. It was so good to see you.
Pleasure,
Honestly,
thank you.
Look, Aasiya, I mean, it's so wonderful to see you in Bay, and like I've been saying to everyone on the cast as well today, like it's such a nice. It's so refreshing to sort of see a really nice, light-hearted series, but also delves into topics that are very relevant and rampant to us. I think for you as an actor, I think with the work that you have done so far, how important has that been for you? I think in doing work that is also relatable, but also pushes the boundaries for you.
I think it's hugely important. Like, I've been in the game for a while now, and it's very rare that jobs like this come about where I feel like they are more than just a job. You know, like it feels like in some ways like a statement to say, look at us, we're all here, we're in your face, we're behaving in erratic ways, and you're gonna have to sit down and deal with it. And you're gonna laugh, and you might cry, and you're gonna be inspired, and you're gonna feel so uncomfortable.
Right, that's amazing. But I think that's the thing. Like when we say uncomfortable,
That's amazing.
uncomfortable is a very good word, because I feel like, you know, if I'm very honest about diversity and inclusion, it feels almost like very as if it's on the terms of the gatekeepers or the ones who really are in control of the ecosystem. But here, it's really pushing that, and I love that because you've got such a melting pot. Like I was saying to Riz, you know, you've got your established actors, you've got fresh talent. You've also got talents from both neighboring countries as well. So, you know, it's such a melting pot of everything. How important is it for us to really tell our stories on our terms and also be inclusive in the way that it should actually be inclusive, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so important. I think what you said there about on our own terms is really important. Like, who knows our experiences better than us?
Exactly.
We should be the authors. And I think, you know, having someone like Riz at the helm of this, he took that seriously, and he made sure that, you know, everything was done with integrity and with as much truth and authenticity about the very specific experiences that we have, but also giving license to, like, we're not all the same. You know, like, I think sometimes it's like, what is the Asian experience? It's like, well, it's a spectrum.
Exactly.
And this is a very specific universe. This is a very specific, you know, part of London, a very specific accumulation of characters. And I think Riz talked about it at some point that, like, the more specific we are, the more universal we are.
Yeah, exactly. No, very, very rightly said. I think also beyond bait, though, like obviously a very interesting title as well. I love that. But it's really, really interesting. But I think also when we talk about the larger conversations as well, I think for the type of work that you're now doing, obviously this one is going to be very exciting. It looks very exciting, and it's obviously doing. There's a lot of conversation around it. I'm still yet to see it, but I think now, what do you kind of hope to achieve in the future as well after this? So it was a very long-rounded sort of question because I was like getting pushed around. But yeah,
Global takeover. Write the theme tune, sing the theme tune, produce it. You know, I feel so. There are so many talented people that worked on this show, and every single person in front of the camera, behind the camera, I was completely obsessed with, and I was like watching them very closely. So I think, yeah, next for me is to try and absorb all of that and go forward and make waves, make stuff, and love that.
I feel like you're so lost now. You're like, अच्छा मेरा हो गया interviews, चलो मेरे को जाने दो, मेरे को देखना है अब मेरा series, आराम से सबके साथ. No, but I say honestly, it's been so lovely to chat with you. Thank you so much. I'm wishing you all the very best. Love your henna, by the way. It looks really nice.
Pavan Beauty.
Oh, it's really beautiful.
She did it.
I really
She
like it.
won the Guinness World Record twice.
Oh, it looks gorgeous. I love it.
She's a legend.
Lovely. Well, lovely. Thank you, Aasiya. Thank you so much. Thank you. First of all, I think what a combination of both of your worlds coming together. Ben, I believe you've been part of shows like Modern Family before. Yes. You've backed Hamlet, and I think also even Moshari as well. Yes, so I think the sort of combination of South Asian storytelling with the comedy, which is very of the sort of Western, like, sort of sentimentality and British sort of upbringing, I think is incredible. I think for you coming together as creatives, how much of a fusion and a bouncing off of each other was it, you know, I think coming together?
I mean, there was a ton. There has to be. I mean, first of all, people who, you know, rise to the level of being executive producers usually have strong opinions, and it's all about getting together and best idea wins, and sometimes you agree, and sometimes you build off each other's really good ideas. Sometimes you totally disagree, and sometimes you're convinced that you're right, and you end up being wrong. But yeah, I mean, I am always attracted to working with people with strong points of view. That's number one.
Yeah, I mean, echoing just what Ben said, I think a lot of great creativity and collaboration, but I think also Ben really, as the showrunner, led all these different groups of people from the writers' room to bringing on two very different directors on board to each step of the way, and then the editors and all these talented people kind of brought something new to push the show further and further, which we're very lucky to have an amazing team.
That's amazing. I think what I would love to know, actually, I think when it comes to projects and greenlighting them, especially like Bait as well, I feel like it's a breath of fresh air, because I feel, especially on the OTT space, it's just been so bludgeoned with absolute crime action stuff, and I feel like it's so nice to see something that's a bit comedic as well. So how important is it to balance that out, I think, from a societal level as well?
I mean, I feel like we had this, incredibly rich period of television and creativity 10, 15 years ago. And it's been hard as a creative person to see those opportunities get smaller and smaller, and fewer of those shows get made. What was most appealing about working on the show with Allie and Riz was that it felt like a throwback to like, hey, we're going to bring in an interesting point of view and a voice that doesn't always get on screen, and we're going to throw some resources at it, and we're going to bring together a lot of talent and make it kind of interesting and unique. And that's what's great about television. I think we've gotten a little away from that, but hopefully we're coming back to that.
Lovely.
Yeah, and I think Riz and Ben and the writers in the writers' room weren't afraid to go to some emotional places of things I think we all feel, but sometimes we're too afraid to say or don't want to say it because it feels a certain way. And so to be able to combine that sort of emotionality and those emotional truths with this comedy, spy thriller, all these different love story, all these different elements have created something that I think feels really different and fresh and deeply emotional too.
And I think it's also really important because what we're championing here is you've got a big commercial platform like Prime Video, but then you've also got your independent voices as well, respectively. And obviously growing and evolving in this industry, you must have had a lot of exposure to, let's just say, the color palettes, the technicalities, what certain things might work, what certain things might not work as well. That must come very handy for you as EPs as well when actually backing a project as well, surely.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is, yes, you have to take feedback and you have to take certain level of instructions from the people who are paying you to do the job. But if you don't have something, at the core that you believe, that you're about, that you want to say, like, you're not going to get anywhere. You really aren't. So most people who are doing this and who have an opportunity to make shows are doing it because they have something that they really want to say and feel like they need to say. And hopefully, the people who are paying get that. They understand that.
Yeah, what about you? Sorry.
Sorry, I got distracted by the wind.
She was like, it was James Bond, and now it's Gone with the Wind.
No. Sorry, what was your question?
Actually, I forgot my question. I think it was basically about, for example, about the experience that you've had. Like I said, it's a balance of like commercialism, but then also independent voices. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think experience along the way, I've been really fortunate to work with a lot of really talented showrunners, and I think you get to learn a little bit, from each one teaches you something you bring together. So when you get to the next project, you have all these lessons in your toolbox that you get to use, and, having great collaborators. And we had a really smart exec at Amazon too. So it's a team sport.
Incredible. Well, look, congratulations to you both. I can't wait to see Bait. I'm definitely going to be taking the Bait for sure. So, lovely.
We love
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.